Welcome to the Bible's Most Quoted Verses podcast. I'm your host, Gary Palmer, and today we're opening a passage you may think you know, but when we slow down, read it carefully, and place it back in its original context, something remarkable emerges.
There's this one sentence that's kind of broken out of the pages of the Bible and into, well, everywhere. You've seen it, right? Held up on signs at football games, on bumper stickers, probably even in movies. It's been called the gospel in a nutshell, and it's without a doubt the most famous verse in the entire world. And that's really the big question we're asking today. Because it's so familiar, have we maybe stopped feeling its weight? Has its fame accidentally watered down its profound, world-changing message?
So I'm going to read it, and I want you to just try to hear it as if it's the very first time. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life.
So what's the big deal? What is it about those words that have made them the cornerstone of the Christian faith for 2,000 years? Today, we're going to look past the signs and the stickers and try to rediscover the absolutely staggering power that's packed into this one sentence. We'll do that by digging into its context, its language, and what it means for us. Okay, first things first, we have to get this. This verse isn't just a standalone quote that was dropped from the sky. Nope, it's actually the climax of a secret conversation, a clandestine meeting that happened under the cover of darkness. And get this, the person who came to see Jesus was no ordinary guy. This was Nicodemus. He was a Pharisee, a top-tier religious leader, a member of the Sanhedrin. We're talking the ruling council. For a man like him to seek out Jesus, this wandering preacher from Galilee, was a huge risk. And the fact that he came at night, that tells you everything. He was powerful, sure, but he was also afraid of what his colleagues would think. He was a man with deep spiritual questions, wrestling with everything he was seeing. And it's to this searching, conflicted, high-status man that Jesus delivers this earth-shattering statement. When you break it down, the verse has this brilliant, really logical flow. First, you get the motivation. Why did God do this? Because of love. Simple. Second, you see the action. What did God do? He gave his one and only Son. And third, you get the invitation. How do we respond? By believing. It's a complete package. The why, the what, and the call to action.
All right, now if we really want to get the full impact here, we've got to dig a little deeper. We need to go beyond the English translation and look at three crucial words from the original Greek. And trust me, this is where the verse goes from being familiar to being truly mind-blowing. The first word we're going to look at is loved. Now, in Greek, there are a bunch of different words for love, but the one used here is very specific and it's incredibly powerful. It's agapao. And this is so important. Agapao isn't a love based on warm, fuzzy feelings or emotions. It's not about affection. It is a love of the will. It's a conscious, deliberate choice to act for someone else's good, even at a great personal cost, and with absolutely no expectation of getting anything back. This is divine, sacrificial love in its purest, most powerful form. Okay, so God has this intentional, sacrificial love. But who's it for? Who is it directed towards? The verse says, the world. The Greek word here is cosmos.
And here's where it gets really radical. In the Gospel of John, cosmos doesn't just mean the planet Earth, or all people in a general sense. No, it often specifically means humanity organized and existing in active rebellion against God. So think about what that means. The verse is saying God chose to sacrificially love the very world system that was hostile and shaking its fist at him. That is a staggering claim.
So we've got this incredible sacrificial love aimed at a rebellious world. But who gets to be a part of this? Who's invited? Well, our third keyword gives us the scope of the invitation. It's the word that gets translated as whoever. The Greek word is pas. It means all, any, every. And you have to remember, in a society that was just full of barriers between Jew and Gentile, slave and free, man and woman, this single word just smashes them all to pieces. The invitation isn't just for the religious insider like Nicodemus, it's for absolutely everyone. The bottom line, if you are a whosoever, you are included. Period.
So when you see all that packed in there, it's no wonder this verse has fascinated theologians for centuries. And to get a fuller picture, we can actually look at it through two different but complementary lenses. Let's call them the bones and the heartbeat.
So on one hand, you have a teacher like John MacArthur, who gives us the theological bones, the solid logical structure. He would emphasize that to perish isn't just about dying, but about facing a final divine judgment.
He'd explain the logic of substitutionary atonement, the idea that Jesus took the punishment that we deserved. It's precise, it's logical, it's sobering. But then on the other hand, you've got the heartbeat from a preacher like Charles Spurgeon. He would just thunder about the emotional scale of that word so, practically begging his listeners to feel the immeasurable passion behind this gift. He'd celebrate the magnificent wide-open door of whosoever. See, we need both, the doctrinal bones and the passionate heartbeat. Spurgeon just captured this sense of awe perfectly. He urged people not just to analyze the verse, but to stand in stunned silence at its sheer scale. God so loved the world. That one word, so, contains a depth of love that is literally immeasurable, totally beyond our ability to fully describe or even comprehend. So, here's the crucial point. This isn't just some ancient theological statement to be figured out. As Pastor Gary Hamrick often reminds his church, this truth is meant to be lived out. It's supposed to move from our heads to our hearts and right out into our hands, right here, right now. So what does that actually look like? Well, here are 3 challenges for us this week. First, let's try a so-loved posture. Think of one person in your life that you find difficult, maybe unlovable, and intentionally show them undeserved sacrificial love. Second, let the security of eternity be an anchor for today's anxiety. If your ultimate destiny is secure, then today's problems lose their ultimate power over you. And third, be a whosoever neighbor. Think of someone you know who feels like they're just too far gone, and share this message of radical, no-strings-attached inclusion with them.
You know, when you really get down to it, John 3:16 isn't a threat. It's a rescue rope. It reveals that God didn't send his Son into the world to condemn it, but to save it. And belief? That's the conscious decision to just let go of doing things your own way and to grab hold of that rope, trusting completely in him. It's a surrender. It's the great exchange. And that leaves us with one final thought. We've just unpacked one single, very famous sentence and found an entire universe of meaning inside it. Meaning about sacrificial love, rebellious humanity, and a radically open invitation. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If one sentence can hold this much power, what other revolutionary truths might we be missing in the things we think we already know?
Thanks for joining today's deep dive. If this helped you understand Scripture more clearly, subscribe and share this episode with someone who loves the Bible. See you next time as we unpack another one of the Bible's most quoted verses.